Hey everyone, it's the MXP podcast. We're back for a spell of time. We've been away for another spell of time.
Maych and Pajak podcast with Maych and Pajak.
Yeah. Special edition. Yeah, absolutely. We've got a few things we're going to discuss this week. Some of the wild world of sport that's happened in the last few days and whatever, last week or so. And some of the random things that we've been up to since we last spoke to each other and you guys as well. But of course we will have a page because everyone loves a good page. Have you heard anything gesticulating?
I'm gonna have to purge myself this time, Paul.
Right, okay, so your purge is Chris Pajak.
Yeah, I think so. And listen, people clamouring for Maych and Pajak on the podcast, they'll be gutted because I'm purging myself here, or maybe not. But I'm
clamouring from one of my dad.
I'm doing my own heading at the moment, to be honest with you, and I think that's annoying. And maybe I'm a little bit too self-aware, I don't know, but I'm really irritating myself because one of the things that you know that I hate most is transfer rumours, and because I've done the news every single day on Redmen TV, I have been unbearable with the clickbait. Like every day it's fucking Phil Coutinho. I know Phil Coutinho ain't going to sign for Liverpool, but I'm stoking the fires nonetheless because I'm a tit, and because I deserve to be purged for that.
Yeah. I don't think he deserves to be purged as much as Phil Coutinho.
I actually wouldn't mind him back, mate.
No, I wouldn't be asked either way, to be perfectly honest. Like, massive shrug. Right, my page this week is, I'm trying to think whether I should boil this down because there's probably a wide version of this. It's come from, I could purge Piers Morgan.
Do it. I think we already have.
I could purge Piers Morgan for days and days, but it's something that he's done's kind of sparked this. And it's not just him, but he's the most prevalent example of it. I did a little bit on the last show, on the last one of these we went on together, when I talked about like people who go online to just say how shit women's footy is, and it's just like just get in the bin, just leave it alone and let it be its thing. And it's the reaction to Megan Rapinoe, and I don't even know if that's how you say her name. I've never seen her play football in my entire life, but I talk about this all the time. I'm aware of her via osmosis because the US women's national team won the Women's World Cup, and she's been the absolute superstar of it, the forefront of it. She's everywhere. She's on the news. She's on, all over the world, being pushed forward for all this stuff. And there was the video that did the rounds in the week of her being asked to sign a ball and being like really like. It looked like really dismissive or bored or disrespectful or whatever. Didn't
look at the person as she handed it.
Signed it and just kind of like got on, kind of like she was getting on with her life. And I've seen like sensible people reacting to it, and I've seen not ever. The thing that gets me about this in particular is, and it's funny because I'm sure you can relate, is are we still judging people based on out of context 10-second clips? Is that who we are in 2019? Are we all still? I couldn't tell you where she was, and there will be people,
like the Oscars to me.
Yeah, she was at the Oscars. I know she wasn't at the Oscars. I know that much. But the point is that there will be people watching and who will know that, and will dislike her regardless. They'll know exactly they will know the context and they'll dislike, and that's kind of fine. Because if you've got all the info and you've made a big judgment, or maybe you've met her and you think she's a knobhead, fine. People are knobheads. Loads of people are knobheads. I'm a knobhead. You're a knobhead. You're a knobhead at home listening. I'm certain of it. We all are. But like, it's just that thing, the character assassination that comes around things, and what I think this is, because I see that, and it comes from, I say, Piers Morgan was kicking off about it. He's had a bit of a tirade about it in the last couple of weeks. I've noticed loads and loads for no reason. Basically, he's a fucking weirdo and he craves attention. Is why do we hate things that are things? Like, things exist, and then the second a thing becomes a thing, and by that I mean it becomes something that it becomes known or becomes established or gets a name or whatever. And when I say we don't. It is like a switch is flicked for a portion of the global population to just fucking hate something. I just find it weird. I mean, I guess it's a mark of success.
It's like that, like the British media for footballers for so long have built them up, and as soon as they're up there, they pull them back down. It's that type of a thing, isn't it? That the Megan stuff is quite strange because there was that video of her hair, obviously with the ball that you've mentioned, but there was another video of her that was sort of put up to showcase the other side of it. of her signing about 40 fucking things straight off the bat, smiling for every photograph and stuff like that. And what annoys me about all that stuff is that video never goes as viral as the first one, because things that piss people off go much more viral all the time than something, you know, disproving it. That, like, those people who hate it aren't going to go, fucking retweet that. I'm not going to retweet that because I was wrong. They're just going to leave it and let that other really bad, you know, thoughts about it live in the world, and that's annoying. Like.
And we do it doubly so because let's be honest, we look at her, you know, she there was the celebrations and goal celebrations and all that kind of stuff, and she's got a daft haircut, and so there will be a percentage of people who just look at her and go, not for me. And when you see something that effectively you make a snap judgment on it, you know, bang into all this, you know, you make a judgment on someone, and then the second you find some fuel to fire that opinion, you made then, aren't you? And that's what a lot of that stuff is. A lot of people have decided they just don't like it. They don't like the look of her. They don't like the cut of her jib. And then when you see a video that goes, oh, she's a bit of a fucking, oh, maybe she's a bit of an arrogant so and so. Perfect. There you go.
I'll be honest. I don't really understand that side of things anyway. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I just don't get it. But I don't think I would retweet that even if I did think what a tit, because I don't see the benefit for everybody else to see it.
It's not even.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it was something good, I'd retweet it, but if it was something bad, I don't think I would.
But what I've seen is not so much like straight retweets, and don't get me wrong, there'll be hundreds of thousands of them. I'm saying it's the conversation around it. That's what you're seeing. It's quote retweets. It's people discussing. We're doing it right now, but you know, it's people. But I've seen people going, I don't like this, and people react because people react to things. That my timeline is on social media is very rarely the incident itself. It's other people's takes on the incident itself. So you can do it with the football rumours all the time. You might say, "Ooh, let's use Philippe Coutinho. Not sure I'd be, but go one way or the other. That not having that snake back at Liverpool, and then people go, "Whoa, is Coutinho coming back to Liverpool?" Well, I don't think I personally think that if he came back, it'd be a good thing for Liverpool, and that's how that's how these conversations that develop from this now. It's people giving their hot take on everything, and then people reacting to people, and it's like wildfire. It spreads from there, and then you all of a sudden, as we know on social media, because it loves a good entrenched opinion battle, you've then got sides all of a sudden over an absolute nothing incident that took place in 10 seconds. You know, if the person who got the ball signed. And maybe they did, because again, I just don't know the full context of it, because these things get so far removed. If they went, she was such a knobhead to me, they'd be entitled to have that opinion of someone, because they've had a one-to-one interaction, they've been a bit cold with them or whatever. And you can make your own judgment. Most people will go, okay, well, who gives a fuck? We've all been that way, I'm sure of us. All of us have had an interaction with a quote-unquote celebrity at some point who's probably not been the sparkling, effervescent character we felt they might be.
But that's the thing, Paul. They don't have to be. No. There's no obligation for them to be that all of the time. Is anybody watching? Or, you know, we all have good days and bad days and good moments and bad moments. That's the whole point of us. We are human. That's what happens to us. Ups and downs, peaks and troughs.
Speaking as a man who's very much like Eminem in the way I am.
Okay. But, you know, I think that's the thing. It's like someone might come up to us outside Anfield or something, and you know, you might be in a bad mood. Liverpool might just be beaten, and I might feel like shit, and I try not to, but you don't want to piss anybody off. No. But equally, you can't please everybody all of the time in the same vein. So I don't know, man. Like, I had a thing with Simon Mignolet. Everyone knows I hated Simon Mignolet for the longest time. It wasn't to do with him being a shit goalkeeper. It was to do with the fact that when I went into Costa Coffee with my wife and my young baby, a baby at the time, he fucking had a whinge about it and moved because she was a fucking baby. And I was like, you're a tit for that. Now, this season, I can see that everything coming out of the football club is that he's a true professional. He really wants to be there. And I held on to that hot take for fucking years until this season. And now I've finally got something I can look at and go, you might have just been having a bad day there. You know? Yeah. But maybe she was screaming. Maybe I just didn't hear it.
Oh no, I remember Andy Carroll coming into the restaurant when we were working there, and he's not long signed for Liverpool, and because I knew Kev Nolan, I just went, oh, I mate, I goes, Kev told you to come in, blah blah blah. And we had a bit of a brief chat. Smiles, no problem. He went in and sat down. It got off, see you later, mate, good luck this season, blah, blah, blah. Not a problem whatsoever. All the staff who'd been on the floor were like, what a fucking knobhead, didn't tip. Andy Carroll came in. How much money is he on a week? And he didn't even leave a tip. And because
you spoke to him like that.
Well, yeah. But honestly, by the limited interactions we had with him, he obviously didn't give them whatever it is they were hoping to be gotten from him. This 21-year-old lad whose probably experience of restaurants was probably McDonald's up until that point in his life, and given how healthy he's been down the years, it wouldn't shock me. But like, it is totally, your personal opinion. If you're looking for something from someone, everyone loves it. Everyone loves a good story of how they've met someone, because that's a good, like, oh, I met him. And it's even better when you've got like, I met them and they were a fucking knobhead. Oh, were they? Oh, go on.
What did he do?
Oh, go on, tell me a bit more. You know what I mean? Like, get into the full fucking gossip of it all, like, you know what I mean? Shy's the worst for, he hates everyone and everything. And I'm only best in time. But no, we all do it to varying degrees, don't we? But I find it fascinating how there is a tipping point in life where something becomes popular and it activates it. It's like Russian sleeper agents. It triggers.
This is why that's shit. This is why I don't like them. This is why. Yeah. The thing is, we live in a world where fan channels exist because people need to get rid of their opinions. That's what we do after the game. People want to hear other people's opinions. We live in a world where Talking Dead exists after Walking Dead and whatever Thronecast it was or something like that. Yeah. People want that interaction, and that, that's... It can be a really good thing, but it can also be a really negative thing as well.
You know what it is? I used to always say, my dad used to always say to me, he'd be doing something and I'd go, like, I don't like that, and he'd go, I never asked. That was his response. I never asked you. Like, why are you giving me opinion? And you ask for opinions. And this is the problem, is social media has created a world where opinion is implied. Like, you're complicit in it. We put comment boxes underneath everything. We are asked constantly when we look at it, let us know your thoughts in the comments underneath. I'm asking for it. But like, we do. So we've created this world where people are forced to constantly generate thoughts and opinions on stuff, largely out of boredom. And then that becomes a hill that you have to die on, because if you're not the kind of person who can go, that was a bit of a shit hot take, I'm just going to delete that, or I'm going to walk away from that, or I'm going to have a bit of a rethink, then we should
all be like, that scene in Coupling where he's asked to formulate an opinion on some fabric, and he looks at the colour swaths or patches or whatever they are for a week, and just says to Jeff, like, I don't feel anything towards any of it. I just don't give a shit about fucking patches of colour and stuff. We don't do that. We formulate opinions based off of it for no reason. When it's totally fine to just go, I don't give a shit. No, thank you very much. See you later. Next one.
No, absolutely. It's funny because it's a conversation we had about a year or so ago. And the problem with the world that we kind of grow into when it was the days when it was just me and you, and we had no one to answer to, no one to talk to but each other over these things, and no decision makers, and no people trying to source brand deals and all these kind of extra bits that have come along with it all. I remember saying when we kind of broke into that world, there was a great comment from the people who own Sensible Software, who made Sensible Soccer, and they said it was when non-creative people get into creative conversations, and it's people constantly asking for opinions and stuff. And I remember saying we've been having these back and forth conversations for years, and it was a point where I remember saying to you, if you want, people need to stop asking opinions on things, or non-experts, stop asking non-expert opinions on things. If you've got something and you want someone's take on it, then ask people who you give a fuck about's opinion. Don't ask everyone, because people will give you opinion. You're going to end up in a world where you put it to a poll, and this is how Brexit happened. Yeah, this is how Brexit happened, because you ask non-experts to give you an opinion. Go on, I'll give you an opinion. Do you like it or do you not like it? I like it. If you give a percentage of how much you like it, then you can start a variation. But when you make it a binary thing, you enter a world where something becomes a 51% to a 49% decision. And that's the madness of the world we live in. I've had to say plenty of times off the back of that, I'll just be honest, I don't have an opinion on this. If you want me to go away and think of one, I will go away and think of one. But really, it might be the wrong one. I'm just giving you a fucking shit opinion on something, so I'll save it for when you can. this leads us on, actually. I want to talk a little bit about some of the mad sport and stuff that's happened this week. But because we're talking about like the opinions and all that and kind of putting them out there, I want to talk about the video you put out for the Young Turks this week. So for people who don't know, just tell people about, if you've not seen the video, if we can, we'll put a bit of it in, I guess. Like, yeah. So we'll chuck it in, but just to give a little context about how what it is and how it came about.
Look at these articles. One of a young white footballer who's bought a house for his mum. Another, a young black footballer who's bought a house for his mum. This is the same publication in England producing an almost identical story, except one has negative connotations. Why is that? It came about because I'd done some work with a producer over at TYT Sports called Rick Strom a few years ago through Redmen. He used to do the show called 120 Sports. I thought it was really good. He used to get me on there as a guest. We covered this topic in 120 seconds. I really liked that idea, actually. And then he got back in touch with me a few months ago and was like, look, would you like to do something? And I was like, yeah, I would. Something different, something sort of investigative, some actual maybe towards proper journalism, or other than just me spouting an opinion on something that's well researched and all that type of stuff. So the back and forth went on towards the back end of the season, and I never really had the time to do it. So this probably dragged on for 2 months. Season ended, come back in here, and I was like, I want to get this stuff done. So I started working on it a little piece at a time. And what he'd asked me to do was completely different to that. And I went back to him, and I actually, it does fit in really well. You probably realise that, and I've just realised it now. This is why it makes sense. He wanted me to produce something on a certain topic, and I went, I don't know enough about that. I don't want to do that. I want to do something that I want to do. And I think that came from, we get loads of people who email us and say, listen, I'd love to write for Redmen TV. I said, go on then. We're not going to promise that we're going to put it out, but write something. And the first question I get back all the time is, what do you want me to write? And I go, you've got to want to write it, mate. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the first port of call for anybody who thinks they want to do something. Like, if you want to write, don't wait for me to make me a player ratings. That might not be content that you enjoy writing. So for me,
particularly if you're looking to put your best foot forward.
Exactly.
Because there's going to be, if you get a job writing, you're going to have to write loads of bollocks on a day-to-day basis. But if you're looking to showcase something and you want to do something, you give it.
Exactly. So I came to it, and I was like, obviously the Raheem Sterling, the Chelsea stuff at the back end of the season was really sort of prominent, and the fact that I'd sat down and done a show with Akeem from Cheeky Sport, and I seem to have been talking about racism in football a lot over the course of like newsrooms and stuff over on the site. So it was bubbling under, and I didn't feel like, although I'd probably talked about it for maybe 3 or 4 hours across loads of different things, I didn't feel like I'd definitively had my say on it. But equally, I didn't want it to just be my say. I wanted it to be just more than that. I wanted other people to watch it and then formulate their own opinion off the back of it without me ramming my opinion down their throat. I hope that I achieved that anyway. So then I must admit there was a time where I was really apprehensive about it. Like, I was dead busy to begin with, and then I got to the point where I'd written the script, I'd not filmed it, and I actually typed an email saying I'm too busy to do this because I didn't want to put myself out there for it, mainly because of the Chelsea Rent Boys stuff from a few years ago, and people have heard me talk on here about how much that's affected me, and I thought I was kind of past it, but equally putting yourself out there when you've got that hanging over you, I wasn't.
Well, we live in a world where old tweets come back to haunt people all the time. Past opinions are held up, and whenever you particularly jump on a soapbox or you get behind a powerful topic, because of the whole whataboutism that everyone's mad for at the moment, it's dead easy to go, well, you've got this opinion on this, but what about this opinion you once held
on that? And I think, for me, I'd mentioned it in the first talks with Rick. I was like, you know about this, don't you? And he's like, yeah, I'm not asked. I saw your apologies. I've seen what you've talked about since then. I watch your stuff still. I'm not bothered. We're not bothered. And that gave me a little bit of confidence, and I deleted the email, and me and Tom went and recorded it. We put it together, and then we were really happy with it. We sent it off, a few different versions, and it wasn't until last Friday, probably 5 days after I'd sent him it, that it went out. And first, as soon as I knew, I was like, wow, this might actually fucking bang. And I think initially why I deleted that email was more a case of what I've written, I believe in, and it doesn't matter what comes back on me for it, because if I can help one person, then it will be worth it. If I can help two, then 2 for 1 against, and I win, and I'm winning big time. So yeah, I went for it. I was really, really proud of what we'd done of the video, and more importantly, absolutely just fucking blown away by the responses and the way the responses about the Chelsea stuff. And I think there was maybe 4 or 5, and probably genuinely thousands and thousands of tweeting support on it. I mean, crazy numbers. I think it's done 800,000 views and stuff like that in a few days, and it's absolutely blown me away. And what I realised is, we've been doing this for 10 years, and yet that's the first time I felt like I've really pushed something that I'm really, really, truly and utterly, and I'm proud of what we've done, but this is in a different way. I think this might actually make some kind of a difference to people, rather than help them to support a football club. So for me, massively proud of what's happened since.
I think it's all fascinating, isn't it? Because obviously you talk about the racism that exists in the country. It's mad, particularly around football. Randomly enough, I've just shot a video with former Liverpool Leeds player Dominic Matteo. It was kind of off camera. I don't think you mind me kind of saying, but like, he was talking about like run-ins with old school football fans. He was the Liverpool Bradford pre-season game. This is not a racism thing, but it could well be. But he was saying how, like, you've just got people who are entrenched in the way. So we had like old school Bradford thugs coming up to him, showing them the scars on the face and saying, like, your Leeds did this to me, your lot did this to me. And you've still got these, whether it's gangs of fellas or gangs of people, it doesn't particularly matter, who have just got, and some of it's old school people who maybe haven't been educated enough, but there is an institutionalized old school way of thinking, particularly around football. And it's because it seems crazy to me that we live in a world where those things still happen, where you can have people screaming abuse at a football, at a footy match. I think it's mad, but
it's bigger than that, and I tried to showcase that. And it's not just the players that received this. Akeem came on here and spoke about it and stuff. He said his words are racism on a daily basis. We put a clip of that video, one of the videos that when they've received it. We know when he did some stuff for when Joel did some stuff for us, that he was racially abused on the back, and we couldn't actually find that footage, unfortunately, to throw in there. So it's not just in the football; it's everywhere. Yeah. And the thing that I thought made that a powerful piece is that it showed that this isn't a football issue. This is a societal issue that still exists, and it's still prevalent today. And whether people are shouting it out loud is kind of, to some point, irrelevant. It's the fact that the thoughts are there, and what's annoying is they feel like that's a safe place to do it. Don't get me wrong, but education's the key to beating this and changing people's ways. But it's going to be difficult, and I think I'm really glad that we've got an audience and a platform to be able to showcase stuff that we think is right.
No, it's right. I've long said the problem we've got, and it goes back to what we were talking at the top about, the opinions and what have you. It's so easy to throw your opinion out there now. It's too easy. It's too easy to throw an unconsidered opinion. And I when I started doing my own YouTube channel, I resisted it for ages because I didn't like that. There's a comfort that I think that comes from being in a group of people. So Redmen was always a bit more comforting because it wasn't about me. It was a Liverpool channel. When you start putting yourself out there, you realise that when you put an opinion, I don't like putting half-arsed opinions out, and there's a temptation to do that because, particularly on like YouTube and what have you, is if you set it up. We talk about this all the time. If you want to be a success on YouTube, you create a series and you are then committed to doing that series for fucking ever, whether it's like every day or every week or every month or whatever. And if you're committed to putting opinions out there, then you reach a point where you're going to have to start generating some opinions because you're like, there's a bit of content that needs to go out. And I realised that if you're going to I tried to the best of my ability to say, well, actually, you know what, if I've got nothing to say, then I'm just going to say nothing for a week or 2 weeks until something grabs me and takes me, or a sponsor decides they really need a video. Didn't motivate this week's Mixed TV video in the slightest.
What do you think about Fugatini? You were pretty blasé about it earlier on in the show, Paul, and I do remember a video that's just been released.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the last 30 seconds of the video when I went, we'd be a decent acquisition. Clickbait. But no, so I think it is important to be considering the things that you put out there because of the reaction to things and because of comments and because of Twitter and all the things, and people can, as we well know, can take things and clip them up and use them as ammunition against you. It's important, and I think that's why what's so great about what you've done with the Young Turks there is that, and why it's a milestone moment in some regards, and you were right to consider it. Because and particularly such a big topic. Hey, we saw it on this channel when we put that video slagging Tommy Robinson off, and the dog's abuse we got in the comments for all that. Now here's the thing: I'm not arsed because I think he's a fucking gobshite, and I'm happy to put stuff out there because I'm not scared of the blowback from those kind of things. But those are things where you do have to be in consideration, because I could put a video out saying, I fucking hate such and such. Well, I don't really. They just annoy me a little bit, and then they might do something that turns out that they're actually decent, and then I just look a bit of a fucking gobshite because I've rallied 10,000 people behind a cause that I'm not really that committed to. I just had a bit of a bad night's sleep, and someone did something really stupid that pissed me off, and then I went and recorded a video on it. So I think that was right. It was. Look, let's not use the word brave, because bravery is a completely different thing, I think, from making videos and putting them on YouTube. But in terms of you again putting yourself out there in a world where you've put yourself out and been banned in the past, I think I'm made up how big it's gone, and you've given yourself a high benchmark.
I sent it to Aubrey after it had gone out. Fucking hell, you came out swinging there, didn't you, lad? I was like, all right, you know what, if I'm going to fucking do something, I'm going to try and do something, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think loads of people have, funnily enough, got in touch, like, what are you going to do the next one on? And I'm like, I don't know yet, because I don't want, I'm not committed to do a weekly video for them or anything like that, which is good. I can think about it, I can plan it, I can think about how I want to try and make that video and stuff, and whether they'll have another one or not. I've not actually even spoken to Rick about it since. We're scheduled to chat later this week, but hopefully I do get to do something, and hopefully I just, we've constantly sort of broken down walls as we've gone along over the last few years, and if it gets me out of that stood outside the game screaming me head off thing, then I'll feel much better for it. Like, you know what I mean? So,
well, that's so much of what we do is just, it's disposable content, isn't it? Yeah. We just swapping drinks, cool. It's disposable content that exists there for a bit, and then you move on. It's nice to do something that's hopefully has a positive message and stands the test of time. Funnily enough, this is all wonderfully segueing together, is on kind of leading out for this. It's one of the reasons why I love the England winning the Cricket World Cup so much. We talk about this institutionalized societal racism, and when you've got Jacob Rees-Mogg coming out and trying to somehow claim England winning the World Cup as some sort of victory for England, and Brexit and all that kind of stuff, which is the biggest load of horse shit I've ever heard in my life.
And the cricketers even said it themselves, what makes them good is the diversity, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you've got guys from literally around the world. You know what I mean? You've got an Irishman basically won the World Cup with it was batting. You got guy. I think the bowler was from Trinidad originally.
Somewhere in the Caribbean. I don't know the country exactly. I think there's an Indian there. There's all kinds. That's boss.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that, because sport is so often used, like it's used as a political tool. People say keep politics out of sport, but when you've got, like, again, people are just inherently isolationist, elitist, arguably dead racist dickheads try to use this to further an agenda, and people just go, Can I just stop you there a second? Can I just draw attention to the fact that, if you pulled up a big fucking wall around the United Kingdom, in fact, not the United Kingdom, because it's not a fucking United Kingdom, if you pulled the wall around England or whatever you wanted, that cricket team, wouldn't get to play anyone, and half the good players the next generation of these players wouldn't be playing for England anyway. So if you decided to pull the wall down to play a game in 10 years, 20 years time, whatever, they'd get absolutely battered everywhere, because all the best players would be playing for other nations and what have you. Did you watch? I guess you watched the tennis instead.
I watched the tennis and the Grand Prix, and then I saw the Supernova, and then I went and watched the Tour de France.
I my dad had because the Liverpool friendly was on the Bradford game. We went working that, so I missed the first half of that. And the cricket was on. I was like, okay, well, it's the World Final, fine. And I was sort of half paying attention to it. England were largely collapsing around, in the early stages.
It was like 84 for 3 when I flicked on at one point.
It was going a bit wrong, and then kind of got on with me evening, got back home, and I was like, I'll just check that. And it was like the last sort of like 12 balls or whatever prior to Supernova. And it's mad because I like cricket. I don't. There's a host of sports because you just like tons and tons of sports and you watch them all pretty religiously. I like loads of sports, but I haven't got the time to watch them. So like there's loads of sports I can pick up and watch. So if I'm into a situation where it's there, I can engage and I understand the rules and I can play to a varying level, but I don't really actively follow. And cricket's one of the big ones in that. I was watching that and it was one of those. You realise it's one of those generational moments. I was jumping around my room with it on the telly, screaming and whooping and stuff. And when it got down to it got down to the Supernova, just the most ridiculously incredible moment of sport. When you realise you're like, I'm made up. I'm watching this because these moments happen so few. And like you get because of like Netflix and because of Amazon and because of all those other streaming services, we tend not to watch. We don't have water cooler moments so much anymore. Sport are the last real ones in that regard. So when you're watching history kind of unfolding, I absolutely love that. That moment when Morgan slid in and the ball hits his bat and it runs,
then it goes out for
and it runs to the floor and they get the and it's like.
How the fuck?
It was that for me. It was like Jerzy Dudek putting his arms out and saving from Shevchenko, and you're like, there's no way you don't win off the back of that. And then, by all accounts, was it Federer, Djokovic? Was it in the finals? Went the full way.
So I used to play tennis and. I was watching it and I'd forgotten that they changed the bloody rules in the final set. So it used to be that in the 5th set, you can't win it by a tiebreaker. It just goes on until someone wins by a clear 2 games. But this year they brought it in when, if it gets to 12-all, they have another tiebreaker. And at that point, I was so gutted for Federer. I'm a massive Federer fan. And I watched this semi-final against Nadal and seeing him go through against him, who I thought Nadal's had a better season than Federer and would beat him, actually. 37 years old, playing in a Wimbledon final, first time in a couple of years, and the greatest that ever has played the game, to then go against the best right now in Novak Djokovic. It wasn't until the 5th set where Novak even got a bloody break point against Federer's serve. Federer was that good, yet he found himself 2-1 down in the 4th. And because Novak won both tiebreaks, and Federer, I think it was in the first set tiebreak, his forehand went to pot, and in the third set tiebreak, his backhand went to pot. Completely out of character for the rest of the game. So when it went to 12-all, became the longest ever men's final since 2000. Well, the longest ever, but the last one was 2008 against Nadal, which Nadal won, which was unbelievable in its own right. To then go into a bloody tiebreak for Wimbledon, and the cricket's going on at all the same time, and you're like, what the hell's going on? I was the opposite of you. I was so gutted for Federer. I like Novak. I think he's a good player, but like to see him lose like that when I thought had the rules just been what they were the year before, I think he had a chance, even at 37. And then the backlash out of it and stuff, and watching Lewis Hamilton break a record as well. That was his 6th British Grand Prix, more than anybody. He's won the British Grand Prix now in his own backyard, the one he wants to win most and stuff. Fucking day for sport, man. And then Liverpool beat Bradford. Go ahead. Yes. It's
not often a day where Liverpool winning a game of football ranks like lowest on your priorities, but so it is. What a fantastic weekend. Moving on, it kind of leads a little bit into what we normally do, life advice at the back end of the pod, but we were invited back to our old senior school last week to do a careers talk. Which is just
weird.
So weird. Bearing in mind, and I've said this, I saved this nugget for like the last question when we were asked at the time. I kept it on the down low. 18 years ago, we left senior school, and we were told unequivocally that we were never to return. Like we got in so much trouble in that last like year of school that we were basically told, you know, you're not going to be counted as an ex-member of the school.
Everyone else went off to be old blues, and we were just
we were told we weren't allowed to be considered like alumni or whatever. We weren't allowed back on the school premises or anything like that.
My mum bollocked me when I told her on Friday night, you know.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't tell her that until
Did you
then.
not?
So Friday I come back, she's like, how's the course? It was my dad's birthday, so everyone's around at my mum's, and I'm like, you won't like me saying this, mum, but you know, they told me I wasn't allowed back, and blood was boiling, all the mates were there and all that. I was like, but it's fine, because now they've invited me back to give careers talks to you. I can't believe you, Chris. Can't believe it. Why didn't you tell me this? I'm like, 18 years after the fact, you're still annoyed about it.
Imagine how annoyed she'd have been back in the day, yeah. But yeah, no, it's funny. We had a strange relationship maybe more around that time because, yeah, we were both massive knobheads in sixth form. But yeah, it was great.
But do you remember what my mum and dad's phone number was in my phone as back then?
Start to lie. Yeah, so it wasn't called Mum and Dad Home or Home. It was called Start to Lie. So whenever his phone rang, that's what it would.
And that's exactly what I would do, no matter what I was doing. So I might be just playing a computer game of Paul's, and I would lie for no reason. It was
mad. You'd be there, and it'd be fine. We weren't doing anything wrong. You were allowed to be at mine. We'd be sat playing on the PlayStation. You'd be like, you're in mine, and you'd be like, I'm in Steve's, and I'm like. Honestly, yeah, for no reason whatsoever. It was great, but it was funny because obviously we got to go and do a tour and we got to see some of the things. It's mad when you walk down corridors that you haven't walked down for, you know, like that's half our life ago since we were in there. It's mad. But you know, we were 18 when we left, and it's been 18 years since, which is crazy.
Doesn't feel like that long ago.
No, it doesn't.
Does it, like? But looking at the school and how much has changed, it looked like more.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Past, like.
It's so funny though, but it was great getting asked advice on things and people saying like, what did you do and what did you get up to? And we kind of had to temper a lot of the stuff we were saying because, you know, you got to give a positive, uplifting message, and I always wanted to because that school. It's the Liverpool Blue Coat School, by the way, for anyone who knows. That's what we went to for our sins. That's where we went. It was a weird place. I always describe it as like Hogwarts without the magic. It was very old school, draconian. Like the head teacher wore like a gown. I don't mean like a wedding gown. I mean like a mad cape thing
with fluffy
bits here.
Bits. And then the assistant didn't have quite as much fluff. It was more like Jon Snow's cape, I suppose.
Yeah, but they come out and they do readings, and it was like they do prayers, and you'd be like, if you don't want to pray, then you shouldn't be here. It's like, it's a fucking C of E school for a start, and I'm sorry, I'm not getting into the thing, like, but honestly, Church of England, like you speak to a Catholic priest, and you go, well, what about this? And they've got a big series. You ask a vicar, and they're like, don't worry about it, lad. Don't worry about it. But like, you had there's Muslim kids and Sikh kids and all kinds. It's like, hang on a second, like don't make out like you're some mad big religious school, because I'm not going to sit here and mumble some words about the Lord. Like, sorry, listen, people believe what you want to believe. It's absolutely fine as long as it makes you happy and doesn't make anyone else miserable. More important. But yeah, it was so horrible and backwards and draconian. It was always geared towards like, if you want to be a doctor or a dentist, and you go into Oxford and you go into Cambridge and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, just want to make videos, kind of want to be a director or or a rock and roll star or whatever, like.
But that was one of the reasons that you actually got told you weren't allowed back, isn't it? Because it was Caulfield that told us that.
Yeah, because they said, here's the thing, I'd watched, and there was an Oasis documentary around this time. I was a mad Oasis fan, and there was a bit where Liam Gallagher recounts a story about him going to the job centre, and they said, like, what do you want to be? And he said, I'm going to be a rock and roll star. And he went, you can't be that. And he went, fine, get me a job as a lumberjack, chopping fucking trees down. And that was just in my head. So I walked in, and they said to me, I think I must have said this on here before, but if not, I told them I wanted to be a pop star, and they weren't happy with that as a response. But it was hilarious because how many teachers came up to me in the days afterwards and were like, did you tell the head teacher you
really wanted to be a pop star?
Did you wanted to be a pop star? And I was like, whatever, and they would kill themselves.
So listen, basically what I'm saying to you is, Paul has these dreams and aspirations, and you know what? Christmas #1, Paul Maych, and I reckon we're going for it.
I'll get there eventually. Like, what would you go with? I've got an LP in me, Chris.
Good lad.
Yeah,
I like it.
Killing in the name, and go up against an X Factor song and then see if you can get a groundswell going for you.
If you want to go the complete opposite way, I'll be your Mr. Blobby. Did he have a Christmas number one?
You've always been my Mr. Blobby. But we had some. It was mad times because there was basically 5 years of just normal school, and I was fine. I had me mates and played a bit of footy and did me bits and pieces. Never really kept my head down. Wasn't particularly exceptional in kind of anything. And then we got into sixth form, and then discovered like ale and birds, and then became friends with you. And then that I had more detentions in upper sixth form than I'd had in the entirety of lower school, which is insane when you think about it. You're not meant to, because just teachers were knobheads. But what were the one moment that strikes out, because you were talking about your mum's reaction to stuff, and this is why I had a bit of a tense relationship at the time with my parents, because I got my tongue pierced, and at that time I'd been in trouble with the school or whatever, and my mum got asked to come in and speak about me behaviour and me progress and all that kind of stuff. But my mum wasn't speaking to me at the time because I'd got my tongue pierced, and it was still healing as well, so it was still a bit swollen. And I've got a big tongue anyway, so it didn't help that.
So that's one for the 100,000 Q&A with Charlie on his channel.
And she'll answer it honestly. So it was a bit swollen, and I had to. But I was like, I've paid 50 quid for this. I'm not. If they see it, they're going to ask me to take it out. And like I said, my mum had come in. I'm like, my mum's amazing. She's one of those people who like, she's just so nice and so sweet. But if she's forced to go to bat for you, she'll go to bat for you. She'll go to war for you, me mum, like. And so she's dead fish, she's stepping in, but she's going to bat for me when she's just so angry with me. It's unbelievable. And I was being asked questions, and it was like the bit in Friends when Ross has bleached his teeth, and he's going, like finding different things to cover my mouth with, like somebody didn't see this flash of silver going past.
Did you not put your hair over your mouth at that point?
No, I didn't have the hair for that. No, that was a university thing. But it was hilarious. Like, trying to have these like grown up, like, no, fine, I'm going to book my ideas. I'm going to book my ideas up and do that. I sounded like fucking Harry Kane, basically, Scouse Harry Kane. And yeah, we walked out of that, and it was like literally, my mum came separately, we met up, we had this thing, she fought the case, and then we went out separately. She was fucking raging with me, and it came to the point, I think I kept my tongue piercing in for like a year. I think I was in uni, and she finally came to me and went, you're going to take it, and I'll be honest, it was doom your head in at that point. Like, it was just tongue piercing, just shit. They look cool, and don't get me wrong, like, it helped me pull so many birds as a teenager, because you can go, have you ever copped for anyone with a tongue piercing? They go, no, do you want to try? Which is the things you can say when you're 17, 18 and
imagine
thin.
saying that now.
Yeah, imagine going into like the pub now, a sensible bar.
Have you ever copped? What's copped?
Yeah. Have you ever necked anyone with a tongue bar before? Yeah, kind of bad. I got to the point, and I was playing footy, and I kept biting, and I kept banging it off my teeth, and she went, I'll basically pay you the money you paid for it to take it out. So I took me 50 quid, took it out, handed it over to her, I never kind of looked back, unfortunately. But Matt, go on, do we dare do the story of your earliest memory?
We can do the story of my earliest memory in Blue.
Because we were asked the question.
So the question was, what was your earliest memory of sitting in this chapel?
Yeah.
And it's like,
just to clarify, there's literally a chapel attached to school. Our school was fucking weird, lad. It was proper weird.
So I don't know when this was, but this is my earliest memory of it, and I don't think it was opening day.
I don't think it's fair, just to clarify, but when you say that lad, I don't think we can say the lad's name out loud. Just in case.
No. We'll just call him James.
Yes. Let's.
So James.
Yeah.
Used to sit next to me in school, and James had a really big cock. Right, and what James would do, and I mean it was fucking massive. He probably wants his name to be said, to be fair, if he's watching this.
Not if he's... Depends what job he's doing these days, I guess. Like, it's all right for us.
So he's a friend of mine with a really big cock. And I know that he had a big cock because this is what he used to do with it. He'd... I can't believe I'm going to say this. He'd rub himself up to, let's say, 50%.
Semi-condition.
Right. And then he was particularly dexterous in that region and could, let's just say, move it wherever he wants. So he'd get himself to a semi on, and then he'd go, Chris, and then you'd look at him and he'd flip his cock over his leg onto yours. So all of a sudden you'd have a bell end sat on your leg in the fucking chapel, and you're like, what are you doing?
I'm bearing in mind, we call it the chapel. It's basically a small church. You know, it's like, you know, you had pews, which haven't got any more, or the story. You basically sat in a de facto C of E church with a small boy's penis on your leg. And not a small boy. Can you remember what age you would have been?
I've got no idea.
You must have been it. You must have been teen by
I
this
think
point.
It was 14, 15, probably something like that. Like,
it's worrying also that's your earliest memory of the school.
A lot of things have happened since then.
Yeah, great times.
So needless to say, when they asked us what my earliest memory of the chapel was, I didn't say that.
No,
because
that
would have been a bit weird.
What was your earliest memory you're being in this chapel, and you were like,
I can't say that, Mike.
I don't think I can say. Yeah, and he was like, no, you can't say. Do not say that. Please do not say that to the children of this school. I'm sure it happens. I'm sure it still happens. Kids are teenagers are mad, aren't they? Like, you know what I mean?
Kid in our school who used to do that.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Someone else used to do it.
Cock out. Yeah.
Was his name James as well?
Let's say his name was also James. But yeah, it was fascinating being back there, because I think it was a great, for me, what I loved about it was because we were told in no uncertain terms that we would make nothing of our lives, basically. And there's a difference, because that school, it was such a good academic school. We had a base level of schooling in there, regardless of how well we paid attention and how well we performed and how often we turned up to lessons and what have you by the end of it. So, you know, we knew we were always going to be okay. But there was a great personal sense of satisfaction for walking back in there, because said at the time there was no careers advice for wanting to do. Oh, look, this didn't exist. You know, I mean, we left that school in 2001. You know, it was post the treble season. Would have been a great time to start a Liverpool fan channel. But you know, we had dial-up internet. Broadband came in like a year later. I think we got it in like 2002. My dad got broadband internet. It still wasn't freely available. Video technology wasn't there. You know, so you couldn't really give this advice. But even like wanting to go and work for the BBC or whatever, that
wasn't. It was, as you mentioned before. Everyone was funneled into one career path almost, which kind of went against how they used to bring students in, because these are bringing students in based on sport and merit and academics as well. So, but for us, it was very much, you go to school, you go to sixth form, you go to university. And for the best ones in there, you go to school, you go to sixth form, you go to Oxford or Cambridge, and that was the aim. And then you became a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, something like that. And so it was interesting speaking to Mike, who was the guy who invited us back, and he was saying, like, we think this one might be really beneficial, because most of the people who do come back here are from those things. But there are loads of kids in this school who, not only did the school put that pressure on them, but also that the parents put that pressure on them to follow that path. And they might be sitting there thinking, I don't want that from my life. So it's actually for us to be able to go in there and say, you don't, like, we went to this school and it didn't fit us at the time. So to be able to talk to those people and say, there are other things out there that you can do and you can still make a success of yourself without following the path that has almost been chosen to you, was really good. That's what I enjoyed about it anyway.
Yeah, and just that thing, you know, being you don't necessarily know how things are going to pan out when you're 18. You're a completely different person. We've had to go around the houses to get to where we are, but I always wanted that return. I fantasized about being able to go back to that school with the strut on to show, like, hang on a second, you were completely wrong. And it's also telling, of course, that so many of those teachers are just the ones who were horrible and the ones who were dickheads. You know, they're either dead or retired now, like, so it doesn't really, it burns less in that regard. But does, you know, I think it's a real strong indicator of, if you don't know if you don't know exactly what you want to do at 18, it doesn't matter, you know, provided you try to keep moving forwards and you keep learning and you keep working hard at stuff, then, you know, you might get told you're going to do absolutely fuck all with your life, but it doesn't make it true, because there's so much to learn and so much space to grow into and all that kind of stuff. But I absolutely buzzed off it, and I'm looking forward to hopefully doing more of that kind of stuff in the future. It definitely made a nice pleasant break from the norm, didn't it?
It was good.
Yeah.
I went down to Tavern for a brekkie first because we were close.
Yeah, exactly. We just went through the magical mystery tour of our.
If we could only go the quickie and get a Swiss roll and a can of Coke.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and the coffee house for a pint to complete the full set of just what. And maybe go and climb a tree in Coldy's Park. That would have been pretty much our entire youth. Tony Hawk's 2 on the PlayStation 1, which we can do. Yeah, man. Yeah, Chris, thank you very much. That's been an absolute pleasure. This
thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're on the YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on a podcast app or whatever, give it a 5-star review. That always helps with everything.
Have you read them?
We do.
There's some absolute belters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on iTunes and stuff. Yeah.
Boss, well, I tell you
really
what.
Thank you very much for those who have actually.
If someone reminds us, Simon. We'll read some of them out. It's probably on the next one. We're in America next week covering the Liverpool US tour, so there won't be. We'll put another best of clip out. If anyone's suggestions, actually, because there'll be people who watch and listen to these podcasts all the way through, and they've listened to every single one of them. If you've got a favourite bit or moment that you think would be useful, or think that people would gain something from, or what have you, let us know in the comments, or tweet me at the Paul Maych or at Mr. Blood Red, or both of us. And let us know what you bit, because obviously the big things, some people aren't in for sitting down for 45 minutes or an hour, but if the sections that you've really enjoyed from these podcasts that you think should be shared with the wider world, then let us know, and we'll start to put a few more of them out, so it's easier for you to share them to people and show, oh, these guys, they're not bad knobheads, or they are, but they're the kind of knobheads that you might like. That'll work for me. Thanks everyone for watching, for listening, and we'll be back very, very soon.